So it's time for the Peach guide, right? So as always, I'll start off by saying why should you play Peach and why Peach not Daisy. First off, Peach just looks better than Daisy. There's basically no gameplay difference. Don't bother about it. Don't care about it. Secondly, why should you play Peach in this game? So obviously, I'm not a person that's like a big Peach fan. I don't like to play girly princesses that pull items that are based on RNG. But Peach in this game, she just has a lot of tech. She's really fast. She has a lot of combos. She can play really aggressively once she gets in. She can edge guard well with her float. Yeah, she just has a lot of like tech to her, and I really like that in a character, especially since a lot of the characters in Ultimate are on the simpler side. So just to give you a taste, right? Like you can fast fall really quickly with float. You have so many movement options with float, double jump, float, fast fall. Like I'm really bad at doing it, but you can kind of see how fast she goes down, and then you can obviously do like ground level floats. You can do nairs. You have combos. It's just a really fast characters, and once you start using items, it gets even crazier. Okay, so let's just start off by showing off her ground moves, right? So she has a really fast jab. Starts knocking down at about like 20, 30 maybe. So after 30, it's a bit higher value to do it, because then you might get a tech chase, or like you get more stage from it basically. Secondly is her F tilt. Her F tilt is mostly used from down throw to get a setup, and sometimes to like do run up F tilt. I think it's pretty fast. It's about like 7-ish. Yeah, so it's pretty fast. I think you can maybe do 2 in a row, but even if you can't, it just sets up well for a juggle. Next up we have up tilt. Up tilt has a pretty good ground hitbox, as you can see. You can hit people. I think it does more damage at the heart, and it's just good like if you run under someone and up tilt them. Also something you can do out of a down throw to combo, especially if you grab them at around 0. And next up we have one of her main combo starters, actually, down tilt. Down tilt sends them into a ground spike, kind of like how he did in Melee, but it's not the same animation. This one is way faster, and it got heavily buffed from Smash 4. You can get basically anything you want after down tilt, and even at say like 190-ish, you can get like a combo into a fair to send them off stage. So it's one of our absolute best tilts, and definitely something you need to start learning to use. It's also relatively fast, not like as fast as F tilt, but still definitely fast enough to do run up F tilt, run up down tilt sometimes. And at lower percents, you can also combo it after a float nair or float back here, and then just get combo started. If you look at some Sora vids.
Oh, I did my offline combo, 90%. 90%.
They can just be absolutely crazy combos with this move. So definitely a move you need to master and just use a lot. This is one of her main neutral tools, and it's dash attack. Now dash attack is a lot slower than it is in Melee. A lot slower. She doesn't jump forward nearly as quickly. It has 2 hits, so it has good priority, and it's still a really good move to do, especially to follow up some like straight aerial with, like that, for example. And yeah, it's gonna be your move that you use to punish rolls, to punish shielded attacks, to sometimes approach with, just to keep them, you know, guessing until they let you do slower moves such as float nair and float down air. Next up, we're gonna do ground smashes. Down smash is okay. I think it's pretty fast. I haven't noticed anything too particularly great about it. It's just a standard down smash. Reaches pretty far, does decent damage. Will send off stage. I'm sure you can 2-frame with it as well. But overall, not nearly as good as it was in Melee, but still a decent smash. Now F smash is now not random anymore. So if you do forward, regular F smash, you get the golf club. If you do up forward, then it becomes the pan, and then down forward becomes the racket. Oh, I'm really bad at this. Yeah. So you can actually choose which one to use, and in general, I would say use the golf one because that's the longest range, and then use like upwards one when you know it's gonna kill, or the downwards one if you know it's gonna edge guard. Her up smash is one of her best kill moves. It's invincible a lot of the time too, I think, or at least has really, really good priority, but it can be pretty hard to land, so you're gonna have to usually read them coming down or run up and do it, but it's not as strong, I think, if it doesn't tip her. Let me just double check that. Yeah, it's definitely stronger at the tip. Next up, we're gonna do air moves. So Nair is pretty fast, not as fast as it used to be in melee, but still a solid aerial. Does a lot of damage, 15.6% from full jump and 13 from short hop. Backer is one of your absolute best aerials. It does a lot of damage, and most importantly, it has a lot of range and comes out quickly. So if you use this one from float, you can just like kind of like outspace people like this, and it will just it's just an incredible spacing tool. And it will trip sometimes at low percent. It will combo into stuff. Definitely one of your main moves, and we're gonna go even more into how to use this with float in a bit. Next up is Downer. Downer is also one of your most used neutral moves. It covers a really good angle down and forward, and along with float and short hop, you can really use this move well. After you use this move in a short hop, you actually get to jump after, so you can either float into a fair, or short hop into a fair, or double jump into a fair. And you can also do like some extended combos with this move, like so. But we're gonna get more into that later. Fair is actually your main killing move, and it's one of your absolute best edge guarding moves as well. And it's just in general her most long range, like most covering move. It covers extremely high up, like even at the very back of the move it hits, and hits at the very bottom as well. So if you look at this, like she takes out the crown, and from the very beginning of the animation to the very end, there's a big hitbox. And it will start killing around 120, 140, depending on where you're at this stage, and obviously character weight. So this will definitely kill, yeah. You can go a bit lower and it will still kill. And using this in short hop is really good. If you use this rising short hop aerial, you get it auto cancelled, but you can kill slightly earlier by using it out of a float or a full jump, and it works both. Just be wary that if you land, you do have plenty of lag, so you do need to at least space it if you want to make it safe on shield. So yeah, it's not a risk-free move by any means. So up air got buffed as well. It's a really high priority aerial, and you can use this one to combo, like that comboed, and just to juggle. It will kill if you hit them really high, but mostly this is a juggle tool and a damage building tool. It can also be used for some real specific float combos, but again, we'll go more into that later. Okay, so next up we're gonna go specials, and then we're gonna do float stuff. Her down B is her most used special, like in neutral. It pulls a turnip. It has a chance of getting some weird ones, such as Saturn, such as dodge base, and she can really do a lot with it. If you float while holding a turnip, you do not throw the turnip, so you can actually have access to most of your aerials while still holding a turnip, which makes her neutral game a lot better than if she just pulled a turnip then had to throw it. So she has a lot of options while it's still holding a turnip. And you can also do specials, such as side B. Now side B got really buffed in this game. It seems to be pretty safe on shield. You bounce away if they shield. It can kill at higher percent, especially by the edge. And it's honestly just a really good like anti-zoning tool. If you know they're gonna throw a projectile, just get right in there. If you see them jump off stage, you could potentially hit them like that. I haven't messed around with this move too much, but I think it's definitely like a solid buff while not being too obnoxious or changing her gameplay in any too significantly. All right, so next special, and we're gonna go over neutral B. Neutral B is a counter. It's an okay counter. I would mostly say don't use this unless you have a really good read that they're gonna hit you. The one thing I would say is that if you're floating and you know they're gonna try to hit you in your float, you can do neutral B out of it, and as well as using it to edge guard certain recovery such as cromps. That's what I would do mostly with it, but experiment with it. It can also kill at really high percent, so it can be useful for sure. Just not one of her most used moves. Next up is up B. Up B is an okay tool out of shield, but sometimes if you hit it at too low percent, it won't hit fully like that, and you can be in the risk of getting hit. At higher percents though, it usually is a good get off me move, and if you hit up B really high on stage, say when you're juggling someone, it can also kill. Yeah, it doesn't actually even hit fully. Let's just see. Yeah, like if you hit someone really high up, there's a chance it could kill. But this is not going to be like something you do all the time. Actually, this is down tilt combo into it. Oh, it kills. That's cool. In general, this is your recovery move. You can steer yourself a lot with this, and you can also press down to fast fall. but this is not as fast as it was in Melee. In Melee, you could like tap down really quickly. In this game, you actually need to like tap down twice so that you go into free fall and then actually fast fall, and then you can put it up again. But it's a bit nerfed, but it's still a really good up B. Just be wary that if you do it like this, you will not sweep spot the edge if you're too high up. I think at least. Let me actually check this. Yeah, so that will happen. So make sure you sweet spot it. Not like that. Be better than me. Sweet spot it like that, and you can also angle this a little bit when you first launch it. Like, look at the difference from this one and that one. It's quite a big of a difference. So you can also not grab edge backwards. So keep that in mind. All right, next up, we're going to do float stuff. Now, float is Peach's most unique tool in the game. And there's tons of like extra stuff you can do with this. We're going to start off with the very, very basics, and then we're going to get more complicated as we go on. Just as a start, to float in the air, you hold down and then press jump. You can also do this by just holding jump, not down, but then you will use your second jump if you still have it. But this can be good after, let's say, you do an aerial, you can hold jump and it will float as soon as you can. After a downer, like so, you can also hold jump sometimes. I'm bad. Okay, maybe you can't buffer it out of everything. Either way, that's the very basic way to float. And there's two heights you generally want to float at, and make sure you full jump. So this is the main height, I would say. From this, you can fall down with a fair, like so. You can fall down with a back air, and obviously you can mix and match. You don't need to be at the exact same spacing, but this height lets you fall down with aerials, such as nair, fair, back air. But then it also lets you do down air, and down air is really good. For those of you coming from Melee, this down air is way better than you're used to. It combos consistently. It does good shield pressure, and yeah, it's just a great poke with a lot of priority. It's also one of your best moves to use while edge guarding. It can like hit people before they sweet spot with not too much problem, and then launch them into a fair. Most of the time you want to do if you hit a downer, you want to do float into fair, or at a bit of a higher percent, like say 40, you do jump fair. Either you re-land and jump, or you do double jump if, say, you float a bit higher. This can be a little bit specific, and I'm not great at using Peach yet, so keep that in mind, but in general, it's usually worth going for the fair. Even if it doesn't combo, it's really hard to avoid. Alright, so now the next height you float at is actually ground level floats. You see me do this a little bit already. To do this, all you need to do is you hold down with the control stick, and then you press jump and you hold jump. It really isn't that hard once you get used to it. And this will put Peach at her lowest possible float with just one press. And now this is good for many different reasons. You can do an aerial and then right away land. This gives you an access to ground level aerials and just increase speed. Since you can jump, do an aerial, and then instantly fall to cancel it whenever you want to. And then you can go straight into shield or a ground move, whatever you want. So to drop from the float, all you do is you let go of the jump button. So to do a low float nair, you do float, nair, let go of jump button. You can still keep holding A, but you don't need to. So you hold down, jump, nair, while still holding the jump button, and then you let go. This is the easiest way to do a low float nair. This lets you do a lot of really quick aerials at any moment you want, and using back air for this and down air for this are two really good ways to open your opponent up, especially in close quarters. Back air spacing especially is really potent because of the huge range and active range on back air. In general, this lets you punish a lot of moves that they throw out in neutral by dashing away from them, making them miss, and then coming back with a float fair. Such as for combos such as this one. Yeah, I'll include the turnip combo eventually too. Yeah, so that's just like one of many different combos you can do starting from a low flat float. So it's low float into nair, and then after the nair, you do a down tilt, and then you do a float, and then into an up air. You only let the first part hit which drags them down and lets you down tilt again. And then you do another one, like another down tilt into another nair into another short up fair. So it's definitely not something you need to bother with learning right away, but it's just one of the examples of the potential of low float. What I would suggest you begin with is do a low float into a down tilt or a low float into a grab. This is really easy, and once you get to learn it, it'll feel really natural. So next up, we're gonna do floating off stage. So when you float off stage in this game, it's generally to edge guard or to recover. Obviously, you can float all the way and just let go of it to grab the edge. But I would say one of the more unique things is that she can edge guard characters by floating into around this level and just keep staying this way and keep putting out moves, and then easily recover with up B or double jump. She can go out and do really extended fair combos with basically no risk to herself, and combined with items, you have a lot of options to edge guard almost any type of recovery. This is definitely one of her biggest strengths, and combined with a strong fair, she can get much earlier kills by doing that than general gameplay by just like fishing for up smash and F smash. Floating out with ledge jump is pretty good. That's one of the easier ways to get back. An important thing to know, actually, you don't get your float back by grabbing the edge. So if I float here and then I re-grab the edge, I cannot float again, even though I'm holding jump. That's something that a lot of people don't know in the beginning, and it means that you need to manage your float slightly better. So if you have the chance to grab the edge by up B, maybe that's better so that you can double jump into float to get back on stage versus floating to the edge if you have the edge for free. Another really good thing from to float from is by throwing an item and then floating after it. This covers your approach angle, and you can also get combos from it by doing a float into a downer. And it's just, even if it hits shield, even if they move around it, you have a lot of options and you can do it. Right, so throwing items. So one of your best options out of doing this is just nair. It can sometimes be a little bit harder combo in short characters, but floating into a nair, for example, will usually set up a combo. And floating into downer as well. Especially on taller characters and at higher percents, this will lead to the item actually comboing into attack. But either way, it's really strong and it's really hard for them to beat. For grabbing, you generally want to be down throwing almost always. This will let you combo into F tilt, into up tilt, into short up back air. Even really late, you can actually combo this, and it just gives you extra damage. You don't get like that much follow up generally, but you get stage advantage. And at low percents, you can kind of like try to guess what they're going to do after the back air. I don't think you can combo anything else really that's significant. Maybe upper if you would rather want the juggle. But in general, stick to back air. Up throw is okay for juggling. You can do that at higher percents. Forward throw is just for edge guarding really. It's not a kill throw like it was in melee. Instead, her kill throw is actually back throw. So like many other characters, if you grab them facing like this, you can kill them. But overall, use her forward throw and back throw if you're at the very edge. Mostly though, stick to down throw and try to combo from it. So options out of shield is generally going to be nair out of shield. It is a bit slower. Back air out of shield. Up B out of shield if you know, especially taller characters, and if you know it's going to hit. And jump into float down air. Now jump into float down air is not very often a punish, but it's a very good way to avoid their follow-up and then come back and attack them. Up smash out of shields can be used, but it's very short range and pretty slow, so not something I would recommend. Also, if they lag a lot, you could do like a ground float fair or a short up fair. To do advanced stuff, you can also float out of shield. Now, this is kind of hard because it can be hard to buffer sometimes, but once you're comfortable and if you know that you need to hit them at the very ground, like at ground level, then float back air, float nair, float fair can be a good options to do out of a shield as well. If you have an item in your hand, you can also throw it out of shield, and it's pretty good. It can combo most of the time. You can also mix it up by using float nair to still do an aerial despite having an item. Okay, so the main turnip types you have to watch out for. Let me actually find one. All right, so here's the peak chart. Now, if you're just starting out, the only things you really need to worry about is when you get a regular turnip, which is basically all of these, all the top ones, and the Winky one is slightly different, but don't care too much about that. That one's really hard to spot as well, so just focus on seeing the Stitch Face, Mr. Saturn, and Bomb Bomb. Dot Eyes is slightly stronger than a regular turnip, so it's also good to learn to look out for, but the main ones are Stitch Face, Mr. Saturn, and Bomb. Now, Mr. Saturn will instantly shield break, and it will also walk around the stage, so you can keep using it. You don't have to take time to keep pulling turnips. And yeah, it basically means that your opponent cannot shield, or they would get shield broken. So you can pull it, have it in your hand, keep doing like aerials out of float, and then when they think you're going to do another one, you just throw the Mr. Saturn, and you can get like a really charge up down smash, for example. Really charge up smash. Now, Bomb Ball will actually explode in your hand in this game, but it does 30% if you throw it. It's just really, really strong. You can kill it way too early percent. So be ready for that one when you pull it, but don't expect it too often because it does only have 0.4% pull rate. Now, Stitch Face is significantly more likely, about 1 in 60, and it does 30%-ish damage. Doesn't kill like it used to do in Melee, but it racks up percent crazy fast because of that. Also does a lot of shield damage, and it can easily win you games by just pulling the right turnip. So keep looking out for that one. Learn to like keep using it. Like don't let it just fall after you use it once. You can keep using it, get several of those juicy hits in, and yeah, that can really quickly turn into a full stock. All right, so next up we're gonna go through some advanced tech. I'm gonna show off a tech called Float Cancel Fastfall, or it's also called Jump Cancel Fastfall, but I think Float Cancel Fastfall is more accurate. Now, there's a couple of different ways to do this, and I'm not great at explaining it, so, I'll link a video in the description and the pinned comment, so check that one out if you have trouble understanding this. Now, the way I do it is I hold jump, then I let go of jump, and then I press down again. Now, if you want to do this at lower height, you need to jump, then you press down when you want to float, like this height, and then you let go, and then you press down. So if you do this as quickly as possible, this is kind of how it starts looking. And it's a really weird time to get down. I'm still having some trouble with it, but it's definitely something I'm going to be trying to practice more if I want to play this character seriously, which I am looking to do. And it's just a really good movement technique. You can do it into grab, you can do it into falling aerial, you can do it out of an actual float to just come down faster. This allows you to use higher level floats more effectively, and it also lets you land on platforms and fall through platforms. So if you are in a shield, and in this game you can't shield drop, right? You can just jump and then do the slow quick fast fall, and you'll go right through. Let me get it. Yeah, like that. And you can aerial through it. So this means that Peach is way better at moving through platforms than most characters, and just around platforms in general, since she can jump, float, land, and grab, for example, or do an aerial, instead of most characters that have to jump, do a really slow wave land, and then grab. Now, some people say that this is easier if you use a shoulder button to jump. I personally prefer not to, since I'm used to regular default settings for Melee, but it's something to keep in mind. Now, another thing that a lot of people mess up, myself included, is that I use tilt stick, right? So when I throw items, I throw them like this. And I was like, why are my items throw so slow compared to Melee? But that's just because I usually throw with the C stick, and you have to actually smash throw to get the full height. So yeah, you kind of have to do this with the control stick to get the max height. Now, using slow throw can actually be better to fall in after it like that, whereas if I use the fast throw, it might go over. This is just some of the tech you can use. I'm sure other Peach mains will show it off better. Just a little taste of what you can do. So right now we're just gonna go ahead and show some matches, and yeah, this is basically the end of my Peach video. And if I keep playing this character, I'm definitely going to make a more thorough guide on all the advanced techniques and all the specific combos, so we can learn even more. Let me know if you want to see that. And yeah, how does she no impact if she floats just above like that? Alright, he might even be a Wi-Fi warrior. Oh shit, tech. Oh shit, I'll get fucked. No. That's mad. I can actually edge guard him. He has to taste it now. Wow, he went past me. I should fair. This is so fun. I love Peach just for this matchup. If nothing else. See that big brain play?